Hello, and I hope you're having a great day. Today I am making blueberry pie. This is from the Martha Stewart's Pies and Tarts, judging from that photo. This is a very old book. I have not made this blueberry pie probably since I was like 16 years old. But a dear friend of mine made a blueberry pie the other day, and it just reminded me of this one, and I've really been wanting to try it since then. And I don't know, I'm curious if I have as much patience now to do. And if you look, you have to cut, I mean, you don't have to, you can just put a full crust on top, but for the top she has you cut leaves and put little indentions in them and then overlay them for the crust. So I'm going to do that. That's what this round of dough, I still have the bottom for the pie in the fridge, but that's what this round of dough is for. I will be absolutely honest, this was supposed to sit in the fridge for an hour, but it is 5:50, and I really want to get this baked because I would really like to enjoy it tonight. So I am rushing it a bit. I figure since it's the top crust, maybe it could handle a little bit more, since the bottom crust is the one that has to have a little bit more of that flakiness to handle all the liquid sitting in it. I don't know. That's how I rationalized it to myself. Whether or not it's accurate is to be determined. But this is the pie crust recipe. I have a separate video that I'm uploading for this because this is also in the book. It's the recommended pie crust to go with this pie, and it's what I would have made years ago. I haven't made this pie crust in probably as many years. I have to say it was very quick, and the texture is very easy to work with. It's so easy to roll out. I don't know, I'm tempted to compare it. I want to compare it to some of my other pie dough recipes to see what's so different about it that makes it so different. It's so easy to work with. I like to make apple cranberry pie and apple dumplings are probably the two most common things. I mean, common, I make them a few times a year, but the few most common things that I use pie crust for. So yeah, but it's been very easy to work with. I think that's probably thin enough. And then I'm just gonna go in and freehand a ton of leaves. I could probably get away with using, yeah, I'm gonna use the back of, this is just a little paring knife. I'm gonna use the back of it just so I don't mess up the blade of the knife. I mean, I'm not putting any pressure, but still kinda, I don't know, freehanding it a little bit. Showing whatever size, and then I'll come back and do the little indentions. I might actually do the indentions after I put it on the tray, just because that way when I'm lifting it up, I think I probably want these to be a little bit more round, maybe like that. Probably be better for overlapping. I really have no idea. I don't think it says, no, it doesn't really tell you, it just says to do this. So, I mean, I know when you do a top crust, you don't end up using all the dough. So I'm just gonna kind of get what I can get. And then whatever dough I don't use, usually what I do is I'll kind of either slice it into strips if it's the size that I can, or I'll re-roll it. Oh, that one got big. And then just sprinkle cinnamon sugar and bake it. And honestly, it's one of my favorite snacks since you have to wait until the pie cools down. That's kind of the appetizer for the pie. All right, I think that's enough. I think that would cover, because you want to leave some holes so that you get some evaporation and it helps the crust, or the pie thicken up. All right, so I'm gonna put this here. Just gonna use a little spatula. Yeah, I'll probably re-roll this. I'm not gonna try and keep this safe since I'm more concerned with getting, probably should have flipped this over. Okay, lesson learned. I probably should have flipped this over after I rolled it out. Okay, so they're all here. Again, I'm just going to use the, maybe not. Maybe I should use a butter knife for this. We'll use the back of the knife I can already tell I don't have the patience for this like I used to. I'm already thinking, okay, how can I get these done faster? I do have 2 small children. Could I just get them to do this? Actually, they probably would like to, but. Okay, there we have it. I did all of the leaves, put lines. I mean, don't look too closely at how the lines look, but I'm gonna pop this in the freezer. Since this was already warmer, I'm gonna freeze it until I'm ready to work with it. Okay, so the crust, or the top crust, is in the fridge, so I'm gonna go ahead and mix up the filling, roll out the bottom crust, put it all together, turn on the oven. To this, it's 3 pints of fresh blueberries. I've already washed them, drained them, kind of picked through for any mushy ones, weird ones. A cup of sugar, which is a little high for me, I'll be honest. I probably should have pulled back a little bit on that, but oh well. A 1/3 to a 1/2 cup of flour, so probably gonna lean a little bit more into that 1/2 cup. All right, that was a 1/3 cup measure, that's why I did a little bit more. It doesn't call for it, but I'm gonna put a little bit of salt, because I believe that all sweet things should have a little bit of salt to help bring out the flavor and balance the sweet things. And then I have you putting in a tablespoon of butter, so that's a tablespoon, and then this little bit I'm gonna leave just to kind of dot around the top. And I might just use this since I don't really need it anymore. The only other thing that I'm going to add is a tiny bit of milk, which is going exactly against what Martha has written to the side of the recipe saying, did I say milk? Lemon juice. I don't know why I said milk. She said she doesn't like marring the flavor of beautiful blueberries with lemon juice. I'm just putting, I don't know, like I would say that's maybe a teaspoon, maybe just over a teaspoon. And the reason I'm doing it is because some of these blueberries have really great flavor, but unfortunately 2 of the packs just kind of taste like good texture blueberries, but don't really have the flavor behind them. So I just want a little bit of that tang. I love that fresh berry tang. I swear, I don't know that anything is like a happier eating moment for me than eating fruit when it's in season. It's just, when you get fresh fruit that's not been modified to be extremely cloyingly sweet, and it's just that natural, sweet, tangy, juicy flavor. I love it. It's heaven. All right, I'm going to get an egg yolk and a 1/2 cup heavy cream. The recipe ingredients say an egg beaten, but then her instructions say yolk, and I'm pretty sure it should be a yolk. All right, and a 1/2 cup heavy cream. I already have the yolk in there, so it will throw off my measurement a little bit, but for something like this, this isn't the actual baking of the pie, it just goes on the crust, so I'm not too concerned if it's not perfect. Also, the good thing with using a yolk versus the whole egg for the egg white is so much easier to mix in, because the egg white's what's usually so stringy and gloppy and gloopy. All right, so we have that and that. I need to find my pie crust. Oh, my pie and my pie shell. Well, I did a great instructional video on how to do this, but I didn't click record, so I didn't actually do the video, so I apologize. I rolled out the crust. I used this rolling pin for most of the rolling, and then I used this one that's a little bit wider in the center to really get the center part a little bit thinner, since that tends to be a little bit thicker when you're filling out or rolling out a dough. I put it on, cut it to size. This, I only have a 2" by 9.5" pan. The recipe calls for an 11 by 9.5" tart pan. I'm pretty sure I used the right one when I made this years and years ago. My mom had a much better stocked kitchen than I do when it comes to that. But I'm gonna try to make this work. If it seems like I have just way too much filling, I might just later on roll this out and make it into a makeshift pie or tart of some sort. But I went ahead, rolled it out, did that. I folded the edges over what there was, and I just kind of fluted it a little bit just to make it look nice for when I put the leaves on top. And then, I don't think the recipe calls for this, but I am just going to put a little bit of this mixture. So this is for the top. This is the whipped cream or heavy cream and egg yolk. But you can do this with milk as well. But putting this on the bottom crust, the proteins in the dairy and in the egg in this case, helps to seal that crust a little bit more. So it helps your crust to be a little bit crispier and not get as soggy and bogged down by your filling. Okay, I did not bring it up on the edge. I'll leave that for when I put the leaves on top. So here I have the mixture. Really hoping I can get it all to fit. Oh yeah. I don't know if my pints are smaller than hers were back in the day, but I did keep a little bit of sugar back. I kind of feel like maybe it was a little too, I don't really use a lot of sugar these days, and so I tend to do a little less sugar than what any recipe calls for, unless it specifically states that it's not a very sweet recipe. That actually looks good. So I don't know how she has an 11-inch 2 by 11-inch pan stacked up when this is barely even flat. I don't know. It's kind of making me question. These won't quite be a part of that mixture, but that's okay. They'll bake down into it, but kind of have them washed anyway, so I might as well use them. All right. Do what I say and not what I do, and maybe don't do that. But I am going to put just these little dollops of butter. I mixed it in, but this way I know that it's kind of baking down for everything. Whew, these were in my deep freezer, so they are frozen solid, but they're so thin and have such a high butter content, they'll fall out quickly. So I'm just going to start laying them while they're still frozen. We're not as good at doing abstract as, you know. Okay, so that part's done. Now I have to very carefully put this mixture on top, but not lift these up. So the good thing, this is going to serve kind of a dual purpose. One, it's going to make the crust beautifully glistening, golden brown, gorgeous. Also, going to help glue these leaves to each other, as well as to the crust around the edge. Oh, she has to use a half a cup, because that is just a waste of heavy cream and egg yolk. Might have to find something else to do with that. Maybe we'll be having scrambled eggs in the morning with heavy cream. I definitely don't need. All right, so my battery died right when I was almost done. So all I did after it died was I sprinkled about a tablespoon or so of the granulated sugar on top, and it's done. This bakes at 400 for 50 again after that time. But I did want to say thank you so much for watching. If you've watched up until this point, I truly appreciate it. I would love if you like the video, subscribe, comment down below. I would love to have you around. I have a lot of other videos on gardening, recipes, food, things like that. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day. Here we have it, the finished product. It baked beautifully. It took actually a full 50 minutes. I thought since the pie pan was a little bit smaller that it wouldn't need it, but I really think that it benefited from the extra time. I could have tinted the crust maybe a little bit with tin foil, and maybe next time when I sprinkle the sugar, because I think most of this really dark brown is where some of the sugar got sprinkled, so I'll probably just stick with putting the sugar on the inner part and not the outer crust. But it's nice and thick. You can just tell by how you see those bubbles. That's how you can tell when your pie, when they tell you to, when the juices have thickened, you can tell when those bubbles, they're meeting resistance. They're not boiling water anymore, essentially. So thank you so much again. Have a great day.